As India celebrates 7 years of the launch of the Digital India program, the country is witnessing a transformational growth and adoption of innovations and digital technologies across sectors. CNBC-TV18 hosted Digital India Vision 7.0 powered by MasterCard to celebrate India's digital success stories, discuss the key sectors that are utilizing digital technology to scale up their businesses and deliberate on how technology can be further adopted and deployed in every sphere. Media and fitness sector experts converge for a power-packed discussion to delve on India's unique strategy of building public digital platforms across sectors, titled Public Digital Platforms Enabling Inclusive India Fast and Far.
Very good evening to all of our panelists, those joining virtually as well with us physically, as well as to all of our guests this evening. To begin this conversation, as the title reads, Digital India Vision 7.0, Mr. Singh, this question is for you. When we talk about Digital India, 7 years from when it began, India is currently home to the three largest digital open public platforms. So that's CoWIN, UPI, as well as Aadhaar. Are we there? Has Digital India vision arrived, or is this just the beginning? Mr. Singh.
I would go back to the day the Digital India was launched by Honorable Prime Minister on 1st of July 2015. And if you remember the way it was launched, the logo of Digital India, the tagline of Digital India says power to empower. So what Digital India has done in the last 7 years is that it has empowered people across the country. It has given them identity platform with almost 1.34 billion Aadhaar numbers. UPI, we all know more than 10 lakh crore worth of UPI transactions are happening every month. And then we even have small value transactions happening, which doesn't happen anywhere in the world. And CoWIN, of course, you mentioned as a third digital platform, but I would say that there are many more. CoWIN vaccination, we all know more than 200 crore doses have been given. But if you look at another of our offerings, the DigiLocker, for example, it has got like today 12 crore users, and we are adding almost 200,000 users per day. It has got 560 crore, 5.6 billion documents there, and it is facilitating seamless exchange of data, information, verification of documents without requiring to submit any PDF documents also. So like when you apply for a passport today, you can just authorize your DigiLocker to verify your documents, credentials, your date of birth, your address. You don't need to submit a PDF document also online. This is a game changer. It's being used for verifying academic credentials, health records. It's becoming part of the health locker and part of the National Health Authority. Then the e-Sanjeevani platform, the Diksha platform. So all these platforms are what they are doing is that they are offering various kinds of services, education services, healthcare services to people. The ONDC which is coming up, it will disrupt the e-commerce market all over. So what is doing, all these investments, all these projects in the digital public goods that we are building is empowering people in every way. But I would refrain from saying that yes, we have arrived and there's nowhere else to go. We have a lot many projects to implement, lot many people to reach. Digital inclusion is a very important subject that we are trying to address. We have a network of 500,000 common service centers, but to ensure that every Indian who does not even have a smartphone or who does not even know how to operate an app, how does he access services? So for that, on the Umang app, we have built in voice-enabled services. So the day when we will be able to access all public services through a feature phone, through a toll-free number, or speaking to an app, just like we speak to a Siri or Alexa, and be able to track our passports or driving license or ration cards, and then talking to the apps in the language of our choice. That day when we will be able to do that, then only we should say we have arrived. So there's a lot more things to do as we build on these projects.
Let's also get Mr. Satya Narayana in on this conversation. He's joining us virtually. Mr. Satya Narayana, if you can hear me, the question I want to ask you is that just along the lines of what Mr. Singh had suggested, there is significant economic potential to be unlocked. In fact, a recent study by NASSCOM suggested that the figure that we're looking at in terms of economic potential to be unlocked is north of $700 billion. So that's those are the kind of numbers we're talking, very large numbers. Your sense in terms of the role that these open digital platforms will be playing going forward up until 2030 to unlock that economic potential.
Good evening to all the co-panelists and participants. Really, it's my pleasure to participate in this event virtually though. Let me step back a little bit to answer this question as to how to achieve that lofty figure in billions, which is potential at this point of time, but can it be made real? When we're talking of public digital platforms, actually, we need to differentiate three things which are being talked about. One is digital public goods, second is public digital platform, which is the theme of the session, and third one is digital ecosystem. Each one is increasingly bigger in scope and scale of operations and complexity. Digital public goods is about being open standards, open source, open data, open APIs, open AI models, and so on. Public digital platform is about delivery of public services. And the third is the highest in the ecosystem is the digital ecosystem, and the focus is on obviously on ecosystem where the public, private, NGO, civil society, everybody is coming together to make a difference to the stakeholders. Where the key word there is interoperability. So we have examples in the making in the health sector like National Digital Health Ecosystem, NDA in the education ecosystem, and IDEA, which is upcoming, which is in the agriculture sector. So to address the question of how to exploit the potential, we need to look at all the three. It's not that either or. We need all the three formats of digital transformation.
Mr. Koshi is also with us. Mr. Koshi, if I can get you in on this conversation, we're talking about concepts of openness, of interoperability, as Mr. Satyanarayana suggested. You're, of course, leading the charge for one such vertical, ONDC, taking forward. What are the major challenges going forward? We're talking about the likes of Microsoft, Snapdeal that have already come on board. But what are the challenges that you're facing in terms of the role that you see the private sector entities playing? And this, I'm speaking in reference to the heavyweights that we're speaking of in the retail e-commerce space. How much of a challenge is that in terms of happy marriage, so to speak, between an open platform like ONDC and some of the closed door facilities and systems like we have the e-commerce giants?
Thank you. Now, first of all, when we say open network, what it is attempting is to democratize. What does it mean? It means that everybody has the equal opportunity to present what they want to offer. Nobody can claim superior power because of the captive set of users in any side of it.
Sure.
So the scale ceased to be the lever, but innovation and specialization become the lever. So whether you are small or big, you have equal opportunity to be discovered. And if you have something really good to offer, then you get discovered more. Not because you have somebody who's always captive. So in that context, when ONDC enable large number of unbundled, specialized building blocks of commerce, let's say, when a buyer application comes, he says, my loyalty is only to my buyer to help him make the best buy. Let me go and buy whatever that is best for him. I don't have anybody seller I want to push. When the seller application comes, he says that, let me try to offer something really good so that people want to discover me.
Sure.
So there's no conflict of interest that is coming. So in that context, it becomes inevitable for everybody to join. When every buyers come together in the open network, the market become $1 billion plus. It's nobody's father's property. So now if somebody decides that I have a small group of 50 million people, he become irrelevant. Sure. So it becomes natural compulsion for current large players to come. When you say large, do they have a predominant market in India? No. We understand that the total market penetration of digital commerce is only 7%, and on the seller side less than 1%. So when it has to reach 50 to 60%, everybody has to grow, and then today's biggies become irrelevant if they don't cope up.
So if I've understood you correctly, what you're saying is that it's inevitable for even these larger companies to in fact come on board and be a part of the system. Is that correct?
Yes. It is inevitable because when the 7% penetration become 50% even, you need a lot more to come. You saw the same thing happening in UPI. And that, so it was not taking away anybody's market. It is collectively attacking a larger market as envisioned by the government and the Honorable Prime Minister, that all of us going to be digitally enabled. It doesn't matter big or small.
But Mr. Singh, last year you had given yourself a target. Look, in 2 years' time, all citizen-facing interfaces will slowly turn digital. A 2-year target is what you'd given us. We're nearly at the halfway mark. How far have we progressed? And what are the challenges that you're facing in terms of allowing for digitization of these interfaces?
Must say like most high volume citizen transactions have gone digital.
Sure.
Like if you look into the numbers, like all digital services across the Government of India and state governments are on the Umang platform. Umang had around 400 services, public services across central government and state governments around a year back. Today we have around 1600 services. So more and more services have added on. There are some states which are a bit slow in putting up, and we are working on bringing those services. But by and large, most services have come on the Umang platform. They have gone digital. What we need to do and what we need to work on is to make sure that the services are end-to-end digital. It's that one should be able to access service digitally and get the final outcome also digitally. And when we are getting the final outcome digitally, it should go into the DigiLocker so that it's easily and easily accessible. But it should not happen that you just make an application and then it requires a online to offline kind of interface when you have to go physically somewhere. So for getting the services. So most services have gone digital to that extent. The real challenge that we are working on now is that how do we make it available in all Indian languages. For that, the Bhashini project is working on like providing open APIs for ensuring that language interface is built in, because India has got 22 official languages, and till we make every service available in the language of a person's choice, it will not be truly digital. And the second will be voice enablement of services, about which I just spoke about.